it's just amazing how people are just so innovative and creative, especially when you need to be. Like, I think it's that necessity that just blossoms creativity. Okay, so this is Emily with Long for the Roll, and today we'll be talking about the benefits of disability. I know, wild notion that a disability could be a positive experience in life. So let's talk about that. Let's crack that open. So I've lived with my condition, as a disabled person, since I was 10. That's when I was diagnosed, and around that time is when I really started showing a lot of symptoms. And so I've been able to kind of figure this out. And at first it was a really negative experience, and I honestly couldn't find a lot of benefits to my disability and my situation, and I was really depressed, when I was a teenager, because a lot of the operations and surgeries I was having were around that time, when I'm right after I was diagnosed, when I was going through adolescence. So it was not a cool thing for me. I was like, this sucks. Please make this not be happening. I do not want to be disabled. That just sounds like an awful... It had such a negative connotation to me. It took a really long time. I don't think till, maybe it was like 19, 20, where I really started to turn around and see the bright side of things. So let's talk about that. I have some notes back here because, gotta structure your videos so you don't ramble. Okay, number one, patience. My disability and my condition and just everything I have to go through has required a lot of patience of me. I can't do things as quickly and sometimes not as efficiently and in the way that everyone else can do, a lot of the times. So I have to be willing to kind of be patient and, go along around or take more time doing things or think through things a lot more, plan a lot more. I'm already naturally a pretty patient person. I'm just more laid back, patient, willing to wait. But my disability has taken that to the next level where I'm just like, I'm just taking it in stride. Like, okay, I want to go here today when I want to go shopping. No, that's not going to happen because the weather's not great, or I know I need help with this, carrying this. So I'm going to wait till next week, even though maybe I really want to do something. I don't know. I just have to, it requires me to wait a little more, or just plan or figure out the scenario more. I don't know, to be flexible is to be patient. You have to be willing to go with the flow and wait or do things differently. Number two, creativity. Just doing things differently, finding new innovative ways. That's something I've said in other videos of mine. Disabled individuals are some of the most creative, innovative people that I know and that I have interacted with. The way that they are able to maneuver their life and even with a wheelchair, kind of just adjusting their chair and adjusting their environment to fit their needs, and creating even physically building things to help them get places, building tools to add to their chair or to add to their environment, add to their car. It's incredible how many things people can think of, to be okay, I can't do this thing this way, but what are all the other ways that I can do this? I don't know, it's just amazing how people are just so innovative and creative, especially when you need to be. I think it's that necessity that just blossoms creativity. It's as soon as someone's I really need to get this done, because I have experienced that where I'm this needs to happen. I need to get to this place, or I need to be able to do this on my own independently. And at first I'm it's just not gonna happen. I can't do it. I guess, it just won't happen. And then eventually I try something or I do something differently and experiment a little bit, and I maneuver a way through it. There's so many hacks. I don't know, it's just amazing. What I can think of right off the top of my head is Wheels No Heels, sorry. But she has that hack where she made a leg warmer with her coat, to keep her legs warm and, help with circulation during the winter. That is amazing. It's there are some really great engineers that are disabled and in wheelchairs, and they're kind of inspired by how can I make a wheelchair more user friendly, or just cater it to this person's specific needs. Yeah, creativity. Oh, yeah, that's the thing that I'm always blown away by. And it gets me excited, gets me pumped. Number 3, resilience. So, having a disability is not an easy thing. Yes, it can be cool and fun and lively, but it can also be grueling and tiring, and it also, especially when it comes with a lot of those medical difficulties that are just like you're just scrolling through, like chronic pain, or I don't know, just the difficulties of not being able to navigate a world that's not built for you. Like, even that on its own can make life just really difficult. And all of this is speaking from my own perspective, just to repeat that, like, all of these are benefits that I personally believe are true. They're not generalizations for the disability community. But as far as resilience, I feel like I've grown and become more resilient because of the challenges that I faced through my disability, like having all of my operations, able to kind of, I don't know, navigate the world, navigate friends, navigate school, and be like, yeah, I'm disabled, and yeah, I'm going to school in a wheelchair, because there was a big chunk of time in junior high where I was using a wheelchair. Or yeah, I walk funny, and people point that out, and they ask me what's wrong with my legs. I don't know, just having to like come across all those things, and it just compounds, and like at a certain point it just weighs you down, and just the weight of like not being able to interact with the world that's built for you, and just every day having it's just exhausting sometimes. And so that resilience comes when you're like, okay, this is exhausting, but you keep going and you find ways around it. You find that patience, you find that creativity, and you find a way to get above it and keep going. And resilience can come in a lot of different ways. I know when I was younger, I was religious, and that was a big part of my resilience, is kind of like leaning on my religion and finding purpose in my disability. I don't necessarily think in that way these days, but I do feel like there is a purpose to my disability. Like, it is feeding me, and it has helped me grow in a way. It has a purpose. It has, made me who I am. It is not who I am, but it's made me who I am. It's contributed to who I am. Okay, number 4. Mental and emotional maturity. So, compounding with the rest of these things, especially when we were just talking about resilience, disability, and just having a medical condition in general that requires a lot of attention and care, that can force you to kind of grow up quickly, especially when you are diagnosed at a young age. Like, I was diagnosed when I was 10, 11. I always throw out random numbers. It was around that age. And I feel like I grew up really quick because I wasn't always able to be a kid and like be carefree and be happy and worry-free, because I was anxious and worried and self-conscious and having to deal with a lot of things, like going to doctor's appointments all the time, having surgeries, and I used to have surgeries every summer, so it's like I didn't have a summer break. I wasn't out hanging out with friends. I was laying in bed with 2 casts in my legs, or metal plates in my foot, or metal rod in my thigh, like just chilling with the metal. Being a carefree kid was taken away sometimes, where I just had to grow up fast and be like, this is what's happening. I could complain about it, but personally I was like, let's not go there complaining. I did complain at a lot of points, but I didn't let myself wallow too much. We all definitely have those moments, but I tried not to get stuck, because I was like, okay, my parents are trying to help me, take care of me. They have other kids that they have to take care of too. So I was very mindful of like, it's not just me that's being taken care of. I know I'm taking a lot of their time and energy, but I need to step up and mature myself so that not so much is on their plate. So it really, I'm not going to say it forced me to grow up, but I was like, I want to and I need to grow up so that I can rise to this occasion and not be so dependent on other people. There are times where you just become depressed and you're like, why is this happening to me? Why do I have to deal with this? Why me? Like, where that question becomes the mantra of your life. Why me? Why is this happening? And there's no clear answer, but I think for me, finding those benefits and that, like, how it's helped me grow as a person, that has created this maturity in a way where I don't ask why as much, but I am more clear on, okay, here is how my disability has fed me and has helped me grow, and it is the reason I am who I am. Which goes into the next and final point, is identity. So like I was saying before, my disability is not who I am. I am not just a disabled person, but my disability is such a huge part of me and has helped me become the person that I am. Personality, just like even some of my interests have like navigated around my disability, but definitely personality wise, where the things I've said earlier, like I've just become like way more patient, way more emotionally and mentally mature, where I have perspective, because I have a disability that requires, I don't know, just time and patience. You have more perspective because they're like, okay, things aren't gonna happen in the way I want them to, so what's the long game here? And that has become a really important part of my personality. I'm a planner. I'm like really organized. I'm a planner. I'm really patient. I'm really collaborative with people. I think that comes with like help. I like to call it collaboration instead of help. I'm not asking for help. I'm asking to collaborate on this project. But yeah, so I feel like my disability is a huge part of my identity. Just like I feel like my racial and ethnic identity, is a big part of that, myself and how I've grown and who I've become. My disability is also a part of that. And I self-identify as disabled. Like, when you introduce yourself as someone, or like sometimes at work we have like these weird round table introductions. They're like, tell us 3 things that are unique to your identity. And I love to throw in, disability. I'm a disabled person, and that plays a huge part into my perspective on life and how I see things and how I navigate the world, and kind of give people that kind of side of me. So there you go. Those are the 5 main points that I feel kind of summarize the ways that I have benefited and I'm currently benefiting from my disability. The positive side. Like, I feel like I've gained so much from my disability, and I think that's the perspective that I'm trying to focus on these days, is what am I gaining? How is my disability benefiting and helping me connect? And those are some of the ways. But I do have a few bonus ones, because there's a ton of ways that I'm benefiting. Like, those 5 do not encompass everything. They're just like the 5 that probably at the top of my list, or that I notice the most in my life personally. But bonus points, parking. So there's a double-sided, to that. One, if you've seen my story time, that having handicap parking, I have had some negative run-ins with that and the police. But in general, you can get some really convenient parking that really helps you navigate a lot better, like being able to get into a building really easily and conveniently from parking. But sometimes people misuse that privilege, and then I can use that, because for me it's not a privilege. It's like, and sometimes it's a necessity, especially depending on the terrain I'm in. So I think that can be a huge benefit if the cars play out right and there aren't a bunch of people misusing their placards or not enough stalls. 2, cutting lines. It kind of goes along with parking, and it's just like, it depends how people perceive you. Like, sometimes at the grocery store, like this happened recently, I was sitting in line with a basket on my lap, like in my chair, and someone saw me, and my basket was like really overflowing. I had a lot of stuff I needed, and they saw me and they're like, come over, and they just took me over to a register and helped me check out. Like, I had like 4 people in front of me, but they were just like, oh, come over here, I'll help you out. And obviously, I'm 100% sure that had to do with me being in a wheelchair. And that's okay. I'm cool with that. Like, I don't see that as a negative thing where they're like, oh, they're pitying me. They feel they need to help me. I'm like, they're making my day more convenient. Thank you. Okay. Like going to like theme parks or places where you stand in line. Lines just become a non-issue, at least in my perspective. I haven't been to any like huge theme parks like Disney World, Disneyland, but I would go to a local theme park in Utah, Lagoon, and you could cut the line, and then so I think you just would have to wait for like 1 or 2 people to go, and then you could go, and then you could ride like 2 or 3 times in a row so that you wouldn't have to get out. It was amazing. I would definitely take advantage of that. I thought it was so cool. And my friends thought it was cool because I could bring like a buddy with me that could also cut in line with me. So I became like the cool girl who could cut lines at Lagoon. So those are my bonus points. That's pretty much all I have to share today. But tell me what you think. If you have a disability, what are the benefits that come up to you and that you see happening in your life and that you kind of focus on? Let's talk about it. And of course, there are many ways that a disability can be difficult, and I don't like to use the word disadvantage, but can create a disadvantage for an individual. And I'm not trying to take light away from that, because it can be a great difficulty in life to have a disability, and we're not always on the same playing field. Like, life can be a lot harder and a lot more difficult to navigate. But I just wanted to have this video to focus on those positives, because a lot of times it's the negative that is focused on, especially by non-disabled people. They just assume everything's terrible and bad. And poor you, pity you for having a disability. Your life must be terrible. And I don't want people to always assume that. I think a disability can be a freaking great thing. It depends on your perspective and just how you've navigated, incorporated it into your life and come to accept it. And like, I don't know, it takes time to get to this point, but I'm happy that I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm cool with it. I'm happy. Okay, well, thanks for hanging out with me and listening to me. Subscribe if you'd like to hear more about my thoughts on disability. That's what a lot of my videos focus on. I also talk about pregnancy. You can comment below. Let's interact. I would really like to have more interaction in my videos and more suggestions, and cater some of my videos to what viewers want to see. Okay, guys. Well, I'll see you later. Rolling out.